Welcome into another fabulous week of college football. Week 7 is here, and we've had some thrillers in this video. You guys know what we're here to talk about. It's recruit reaction. So we're going to react to some of the games that have been played, and we are going to talk about how it implicates recruiting. Of course, we're going to talk Oregon, Indiana. What a stunner there in Eugene. We're going to preview some of these big night games and what recruits are on what campus. We're going to go to Texas A&M, Auburn, USC. There's a bunch of them. We're going to talk about it all. And, of course, we got the great Steve Wiltfong here. He's in the back right now talking to recruits. That's why I love this show so much. We are getting instant intel from recruits on the ground at some of these games. So we're going to break it all down. But, guys, do me a favor. Hit subscribe to the Rivals Recruits channel. This is the best recruiting channel, hands down, on all of YouTube. You guys need to be locked in. Hit subscribe. Also, get in the chat. Who are you a fan of? What game did you just finish up watching? And what was your reaction to Indiana taking down Oregon at home? We're about to get into it. Let's bring in Steve Wiltfong and talk about this Indiana Hoosiers win. Steve, Curt Cignetti is one heck of a coach, and he gets it done on the road tonight.
Well, Indiana goes from a team that you would put on as a college football playoff contender to national title contender, going on the road, beating Oregon. They will be favored in their 5 remaining games and should be in the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis if they can continue to play at a high level. But obviously one of the biggest wins in college football this year, maybe the biggest win in Indiana Hoosier history. And when Curt Cignetti got the job, he walked on the floor at Assembly Hall in Indiana and said, "I win, Google me." He just got the biggest win of his 13-year head coach career, maybe the biggest win of his entire career as an assistant coach. The Hoosiers feeling euphoric. This is the biggest high in Indiana football history. And the Hoosiers showing that last year's season, making the college football playoff, and then coming out and hammering Illinois this year. There's no more naysayers. There's no one that can detract from Curt Cignetti in this Indiana program. They are one of the premier teams in college football. They just went out and beat Oregon in Autzen Stadium. And recruits are buzzing about it. I spoke with Monshun Sales, the number 1 player in the state, number 3 receiver in the country in 2027. Same high school as Omar Cooper, who made some plays today out there in Autzen Stadium. He said, you can see Indiana compete against the best teams in the country. The opportunity to play in front of people I know and possibly be part of the change happening at IU is exciting. I said, does this performance make him look at Indiana more? Because his favorites are Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Michigan, Miami, Texas A&M. He goes, yes, sir, I want to be developed for the next level and play somewhere that will compete on the national level. He found that at Indiana. He's seeing that at Indiana. And you talk about some of these commits that are buzzing. How about Jaden Williams, a linebacker from Ohio that Ohio State recently offered? It just shows what Coach Sig is doing for that program and really changing things around. Jaden said, today was a great game by both teams, but it was a statement win for the Hoosiers. I'm excited to be there soon with my incoming freshman class. And this also shows that the Hoosiers are here to stay. Kenton Mondew is a massive offensive tackle with all the traits coveted at the position. Really says a lot about what Coach Cignetti is all about and how he continues to show that his coaching style and emphasis on discipline continues to produce winning formulas, especially against highly ranked opponents. Something that excites me the most is being able to join a very talented team right away. I am absolutely thrilled with the opportunity to join this team full of great players and teammates, and I know will not only gain a ton of skill, but also a ton of new friendships. Indiana's culture is off the charts. They have arguably the best coordinator duo in the land, Mike Shanahan on offense, Bryant Haynes on defense. Oregon had a top 10 offense led by offensive coordinator Will Stein. They only had 244 total yards today against Bryant Haynes' defense, 80 yards rushing. And did you see Bryant Haynes on social media before the game on Friday? People were talking about it being a rain game and the size that Oregon has in the trenches, the big advantage they would have. And Bryant Haynes just kind of laughing at that on Twitter. And then people in the mentions, oh, coach running his mouth, Ducks by 50. Nope. Indiana by 10 inside Autzen Stadium, the biggest win any program's had this year. Where do you rank the Hoosiers next week, Josh? Top 2 or 3 in the country after winning at Oregon?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think they're top 3 at a minimum. I mean, the way that they did it, Steve, to your point, it looked like Oregon was going to just out-talent them and kind of wear them down, make some plays, continue to just pound the football. But it was Indiana that did that the entire second half. Dante Moore looked uncomfortable the entire second half. He threw 2 picks in the second half, only 186 yards total. Jordan Davison, he had 59 yards leading rusher for Oregon. I think he had like 45 of those yards in the first half. So it was Indiana that suffocated Oregon. And I thought it was going to be the other way around. Unbelievable. Great win for Indiana. They went out, and it was a huge statement for the Hoosiers.
The resiliency. I mean, you're talking about Mendoza throwing a pick 6.
Yeah.
Oregon's defense really was playing at a high level in the second half, but for Indiana to come down the field and get that touchdown, to go up 2 scores, to pick off Dante Moore, a Heisman candidate who's played with such great poise at Penn State a few weeks ago, to throw 2 interceptions in his home stadium, where I think everyone thought, look, eventually Oregon will pull this out by a few points. And then we would have Curt Cignetti saying, look, there's no win. What is that called when you just come close to winning?
A moral. There's
no moral victories.
Victory.
They got a massive win, a real win in Indiana, Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. That's both those teams control their own destinies towards the Hoosiers and Buckeyes playing here in Lucas Oil Stadium for all the marbles.
Great. Oh, man. And how about next week? What do you think? I mean, they better load it up with recruits. They got Michigan State coming to Indiana as the Hoosiers return home. And then, Steve, one of the most shocking games. I mean, this one I'm circling, but the week after that, you got UCLA.
And they hammered
in Indiana, and UCLA has scored 8 touchdowns in their last 7 quarters. They're back.
Indiana going out to the Rose Bowl last year and beating UCLA by like 6 or 7 touchdowns was one of those moments early in the Cignetti tenure when you were like, all right, this guy is different. And he just continues to win at a high level. And obviously they made the college football playoff last year, and people said, well, they lost to Ohio State and Notre Dame. Well, so what, man? Those were the 2 teams that played for the national championship. Yeah. And then they hammered Illinois on September 20th, and people then started saying, well, who makes these preseason polls? These preseason polls are crapola. Texas, Illinois, they're not good. Well, Texas went out there and handled business today, right? They beat Oklahoma, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
They beat Oklahoma, and Illinois, they bounced back and beat USC the next week. Maybe those preseason polls are okay, other than the fact that no one ranked Indiana in the top 5. Mendoza's obviously a Heisman Trophy candidate. And I was on an Indiana recruiting show this week, and they were talking about wins. Can wins like these help spark recruiting? And certainly it can help with a guy like Monshon Sales, but why change the recipe too much? I mean, maybe Indiana can land that coveted target in the Midwest that maybe would have chose Pitt over them, or Iowa State or Iowa. Or maybe it makes Indiana more attractive to those top of the board targets. But these Hoosiers players are talented. They take on the personality of their coach. They're not scared. They stayed resilient. They've done very well in the transfer portal, landing guys that fit their culture, fit what they want to do schematically. And the guys that they land from the high school ranks are already in the program, pushing the room. And so why change much when you have a team that has a chance to be 12-0 playing in the Big Ten championship, which will lock them into the college football playoff for a second year in a row if they can run the table. It doesn't matter what happens in the Big Ten title game. They'll be in the college football playoff again with a chance to host a home game. So It's pretty exciting for the Hoosiers right now. Never seen anything like it around this football program, living in the great state of Indiana. And I can't wait to talk to some of these coaches, some of these guys in that football facility when they get done celebrating and get back to Bloomington.
Absolutely, Steve. And we will be talking a lot more Indiana in the days to come. Can't wait to hear more about some of these recruit reactions. But let's turn the page and talk a little bit about the Oregon Ducks, because Oregon did have a big visit weekend, win or lose. We know winning helps these weekends go a little bit smoother, but it's not the end-all be-all to a successful recruiting weekend. So we're talking flip targets on campus, and there is 2 on for official visits. Linebacker Braylon Hodge and wide receiver Milan Paris. And Braylon Hodge had some very big news entering the weekend that could have to do with this visit. He was, at least on Thursday, a Michigan State commitment since the summer. But on Friday, Braylon Hodge decommitted from Michigan State. I'll just ask you, Steve, does this have direct – I know he's been on other trips too, but he didn't decommit right before him. So does this decommitment have to do with his interest in Oregon?
Yeah, he decommitted from Iowa State, Josh. Oregon, one of the contenders for Braylon Hodge. Out of the state of Ohio, took a visit to Oklahoma 2 weekends ago. The Sooners, our program in the thick of it, has an upcoming trip to Miami. So the Hurricanes are a program that's involved with Milan Paris as well. Braylon Hodge. Oh, excuse me. I'm a mess. You were talking about Braylon Hodge.
I was trying to figure out if I had that wrong.
Yeah, no. Milan Paris decommitted from Iowa State.
Right.
Braylon Hodge decommitted from Michigan State. Braylon Hodge is looking at Michigan, Oregon, and Texas. Milan Paris is looking at Oklahoma, Miami, and Oregon, to name a few.
Okay.
And Oregon's status quo. This was a loss to a top 10 team, a team that played in the college football playoff last year, a team that is undefeated and playing high-level football. This is a game where Oregon will be able – they've shown in the Dan Lanning era they can bounce back from tough losses and play at a high level the next week. I expect Oregon to do that. And this is a program that has all the resources and support to be very competitive on the recruiting trail when they want to be. So these guys that were on campus, Oregon will remain a factor for them moving forward. And obviously losing this weekend takes a little bit of this juice out of the trip, because the coaches and players won't have as much energy as they would have had they beat a top 10 opponent in the marquee game of the weekend. But Oregon's still a program that's competing for championships. These recruits on campus know that. So we'll see where the chips fall coming out of it. These guys have visits coming up moving forward. They'll continue to have dialogue with Oregon moving forward. And so the Ducks are in it. And then these 2027 recruits and 2028 recruits on campus saw an electric atmosphere. And again, Oregon's going to be playing in all the big games moving forward. I do not expect the Ducks to roll over and die like Penn State certainly has since the Ducks went into State College, Happy Valley, and basically took Penn State's football soul. They go out and lose to UCLA the following week and then lose again to Northwestern, 2 teams that are inferior in talent. So I expect Oregon to bounce back. These recruits, they'll be in it for moving forward. Just didn't get the outcome they wanted today. And obviously that I do think will take a little bit of the steam out of these visits. But these guys generally make decisions based on the bigger picture, and with visits coming up down the road, they'll continue to stay in touch with Oregon. And Oregon's still got a chance to play in the college football playoff. I mean, they're still alive for a Big Ten title berth, although they'll need some things to happen now. They'll need some help. But tough loss for Oregon today, but they'll bounce back, and obviously huge win for Indiana.
Yep. And we're going to be talking about this Oregon visit weekend because they had a lot of guys on campus. So it's not over. Dante Wright, Josiah Molden, a lot of their commits were on campus, including 5-star Jet Washington. He was there. Some of these guys are going to see this as an opportunity. They're locked into Oregon. Like I said, they want to help these guys win. They're not going to be – they don't have the same fandom, the same emotions that a fan goes through during a loss. So we'll be talking more Oregon throughout the week, tomorrow on the Inside Scoop, and Monday on the Wiltfong Whip Around as well. So Oregon fans, tap in. How you guys feeling? How you feeling about Oregon and just moving forward with the rest of the season? Like Steve said, you don't want to see a collapse like a Penn State or a Florida State in the top 10, falling all the way out, likely unranked. And, Steve, you got more?
2 of the best teams in the country today, 2 of the best head coaches, Dan Lanning, Curt Cignetti, and Florida's fighting for their life at Texas A&M, this coaching staff, 7-7 last time I looked. But just the Florida message board scoffing at the idea of Curt Cignetti being their coach a couple of weeks ago, like when people would bring his name up on the message board. I wonder how those guys feel right now. Even if you could get Curt Cignetti for 3 years, you take him, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
no brainer. Like, no, I don't think he's leaving. He's obviously,
yeah, and I don't know if that's the direction.
He's up there in age.
I don't know if that's the direction Florida goes.
Right. I'm not saying Florida would go that direction. I'm just saying anyone that would scoff at that idea. Like, I'm not predicting him to be the Florida coach. I'm not even predicting an interview. But just the fact that there were some Florida fans out there that were like, nah, pass. Hard pass on Curt Cignetti.
Not
I wonder how they feel right now.
Not anymore. All right, Oregon fans, talk to Steve and I. How you guys feeling about the season moving forward? How you feeling about this team moving forward? Let us know in the comments section below. All right, let's talk a little Tennessee recruiting. Steve, I'm watching the clock here. There's about 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Volunteers are up 10 points at home over Arkansas right now, 24-34. And let's just hit on some of the big names on campus right now. We know priority number one, well, at least I think priority number one is the number 2 ranked running back in America, David Gabriel Georges, a return trip to Knoxville. How big of a visit is this for Tennessee?
Well, how about Deshaun Bishop, 146 yards on the ground, a touchdown, averaging over 10 yards per carry. The Tennessee tailbacks have looked good in the Heupel era. Dylan Sampson, SEC Offensive Player of the Year last year. Look, Tennessee, they've been formidable on the recruiting trail for their top overall target in the Heupel era, cycle in and cycle out. And I think David Gabriel Georges is as coveted as anyone they're recruiting in 2027. Now, they don't win them all. They didn't win Savion Hyder this cycle, but I don't think Savion Hyder was their number 1 on the board. You talk about Tristan Keys, Faison Brandon. Savion Hyder was number 1 on Michigan's board. Tennessee gave them a run for their money. David Sanders, number 1 overall on the board. George McIntyre, number 1 overall on the board. They show that they have the recruiting chops to land that top guy, cycle in and cycle out. So even though my prediction is on Ohio State for David Gabriel George, you feel like Tennessee could get that one done and land him. Yeah. And so they're battling Georgia, they're battling Ohio State. They got a lot of talented 2027s on campus today. They were hoping to get 2026 Dre Quinn there, and he was originally set to come this weekend, but he had something come up within his family. Dre Quinn going to be back on an official visit, as Hayes Fawcett reported. He's already been to 1 Tennessee game in Neyland, 1 on the road. They certainly have a good shot to land Dre Quinn as they battle the Buckeyes, as they battle Texas for him. Ace Austin, someone that Tennessee's definitely one of the early front runners for. Caden Henderson went to Texas A&M. Zay Hassan, KJ Green, Joshua Samapel. Those are all big-time recruiting battles out there that Tennessee's in the forefront for right now.
Yeah, that's a big one. Now, I know most teams, much like Tennessee, only have a few spots remaining for 2026, but it seems like Tennessee's not done, especially at the tight end position. We were expecting Luke Brewer in. I mean, obviously we'll confirm this, but how much of a priority right now is adding a tight end to the 26 class for Tennessee?
Well, it's one of the positions they're still pushing for. Pass rusher, running back. They're trying to get in with Amari Latimer, Wisconsin commit, wearing Buckeyes gear at his game last night after visiting the Buckeyes. He's been close to visiting Tennessee from what I understand, but hasn't gotten to campus. The Vols are still working towards running back, still working towards a tight end. There's names on the board. And as they continue to play well, as they push towards the college football playoff, they got a huge game coming up against Alabama, third Saturday in October rivalry game. So obviously huge opportunity for the Vols to get a win against an Alabama team that's on a roll right now, which will certainly help resonate with recruits. Recruiting's a game of inches. But Tennessee, it'll be interesting to see how they fill those spots, pass rusher, running back, tight end, as they finish out this cycle.
All right, now as we finish up the Tennessee segment, I see Arkansas is making it interesting. It's 31-34 with 2 minutes and 55 seconds to go. So,
fighting Petrinos.
Yeah, the Fighting Petrinos are right there in this one. So Tennessee fans, talk to Steve and I. What do you think the most important remaining need is for Tennessee to fill before this cycle's over? And if you guys are watching this when the game ended, how do you feel about the outcome of Tennessee Arkansas? Let us know. Comment section below. All right, Steve, let's head to College Station where this game just kicked off. And already there's a couple scores. A&M up 14-7 over Florida. And there's a couple flip targets on campus. Steve, you reported on two late big-time visitors committed to other programs. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, Texas A&M hosting four-star receiver Jaden Warren out of Iowa Colony in Texas, a Rivals 300 recruit. He's been committed to Houston since the summer, but I think Texas A&M is a program that is moving into this recruitment, and he is becoming one of the Aggies' most coveted targets here as they close out this 2026 class that maybe pushes into the top 5. They have some talented receivers committed already, Aaron Gregory, Madden Williams, Mike Brown, but they would love to land Jaden Warren. He is inside Kyle Field for prime time, and that is a visit that I have my antenna up on. Tyreek Green, top 100 player from Buford, Georgia. He's committed to Georgia. Safety, chose the Bulldogs over Miami, Florida State, and others. This thing's just getting going. Not much of a relationship yet between Green and Texas A&M.
But Green is willing to take visits, right? I mean, it seems like after like week 2 or 3, Tyreek Green's been on a campus almost every weekend.
Yeah, look, this thing is still in the early stages. Bryce Perry Wright committed to Texas A&M from Georgia. His family was kind of the catalyst of getting Tyreek Green there this weekend. So they'll get him around the coaching staff, get him around the program, and see if this can lead to maybe another visit down the road, an official. But right now, if you're Georgia, you still feel strong about your position for Tyreek Green. And if you're Texas A&M, you're just trying to lift it off the ground right now. It's still pretty early. Big day for the Aggies, though, Josh. Before the game, they landed a commitment from Rivals 300 defensive lineman Elijah Patman. He's from the Peach State. He's in the 2027 class out of Warner Robins North Side. 305-pound point of attack player that has all the traits coveted at the position. Chose Texas A&M over just about every other program in the SEC. Loves the staff, loves the feel. Jumped on his offer, man. Said they treat him like family, and he loves it here. Now he's part of the fold. Committed to Texas A&M today. Aggies are going to have a chance to finish with the number 1 class in 2027. I predicted 4-star safety Jaquan Snell to Texas A&M today. We rank him inside the top 32 players in the country, number 3 safety in the land. My prediction joined Sam Spiegelman there. Obviously, they'll have a lot of competition, but just some other elite players that Texas A&M's in the thick of it for. 5-star edge Zyron Forstall visited last week. Number 1 corner John Meredith back on campus this weekend. Cooper Witten, number 1 linebacker he's also in state. A&M's a front runner for. Already have the Aggies predicted for our number 1 interior offensive lineman, Albert Simeon. You got the number 2 running back in the country, Landon Williams-Callis, trending towards Texas A&M. So the Aggies, as they're undefeated, as they have the lead over Florida right now, they have the lead in a lot of blue chip recruiting battles right now. Texas Tech is the number 1 class in the country. Maybe it's a good bet that someone from the Lone Star State will finish number 1. How about Florida getting in the end zone there, though? 14-14 now.
Yeah. We had a great game in College Station, great recruiting weekend. I'm sure it's another great SEC night game that recruits, seem to love. So we're going to be talking about this one as well throughout the week. You guys tap in with us and let us know. Aggie fans, who do you think is the most important recruit on campus? A couple flip targets as well. Let us know. Comment section below. All right, let's talk a little Auburn, Georgia. This game just kicked off. I don't even know if both teams have had the ball yet. It's 0-0, but boy, does Auburn need a win at home, not just for recruiting. There's a lot of reasons why Auburn needs a win. One is recruiting, and they obviously circled this game well before the season started as an opportunity to recruit, especially if they win. A couple flip targets, a bunch of flip targets on campus. Anthony Tank Jones, Shadarius Tootle, Messiah Jackson, Corey Wells, Jay Lamar. running back Xavier Rucker, he would be a flip, but he just decommitted from Georgia Tech. So, Steve, what's interesting to you on this expected visit list?
Florida receiver commit Marquise Daniel, another one that our Auburn site is reporting. Mm-hmm. Look, it'll be interesting. I think Tootle, Wells, Lasiah Jackson, those are three guys that are on the plains. They feel good about their position.
Yeah.
Coming into the weekend, Tank Jones is going to be a tough flip from Oregon. I think the Ducks have done all the things that they need to do to get him committed, and we'll see what happens moving forward with that one. But Auburn has never stopped shooting their shot for Tank Jones. But Jackson, Tootle, Wells, those are guys I could see in this Auburn class. Obviously, Tootle committed to Georgia, but he's been committed to Auburn before. Can they bring it full circle? Here's an opportunity to remind him why he was so high on Auburn in the first place. But this is just a chance for Hugh Freeze and this coaching staff to show all these prospects that, hey, this is a program that's turning the corner and going to compete in the SEC and on the national stage. They've signed 2 straight top 10 recruiting classes. They've done a good job in the portal. They had a tough loss at Oklahoma, one that would be tough to stomach as an Auburn fan with the way that it was officiated and things of that nature, and then lost to an undefeated Texas A&M team on the road. But here they are. They're back at home in the confines at night. A terrific atmosphere, and they've given Georgia hell in the Hugh Freeze era already. So let's see what happens today. Look at that. That is just gorgeous. That is one of the best atmospheres there in college football. The ambiance around the Auburn program, just the bells and whistles, the pageantry. Isn't that great right there?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Jay Lamar is expected on campus. He's a Georgia running back commitment. Well, you got a couple. Shadarius Tootle, he's committed to Georgia as well. So it'll be interesting to see what a win could do for Auburn. As you can see here, we still got a 0-0 score. Xavier Rucker, a decommit from Georgia Tech. So we can tell Auburn looking to add some running back talent. I'm sure it's going to be also loaded with 2027s as well. So we'll see how Jackson Arnold. We'll see if that offense can start clicking tonight, Steve. It's going to have to if they're going to beat Georgia.
Sorry, guys, getting some reaction here from the Indiana game. But look, here's an opportunity for Auburn. I didn't hear your question, Josh, so I'm just gonna.
I was talking about Auburn's opportunity.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, look. They have pound for pound a top 20 recruiting class, could easily push into the top 25 overall with a great weekend here and a great win. And if Auburn gets it on track this year, I think they're a team that Hugh Freeze and company have showed they have the support and the resources to finish in the top 10 year in and year out. This is just the put up or shut up year, right? Of, hey, we said we're going to win big. We're going to play at a high level. We're going to compete for championships. Now they're at the point in the Hugh Freeze era where it's time to show them. And it hasn't. They had some tough losses last year. And so this year, minimizing those mistakes to turn losses into wins. And
yeah, definitely. All right, Auburn fans, talk to us. It's 0-0 right now. If you're watching this after the game, what was your reaction to the Auburn-Georgia game? I don't know who won, so I don't know what your reaction is going to be. But put it in the comments section below. All right, let's head out west, Steve. We're talking USC, Michigan. The Trojans, they have the #1 class in America when it comes to 2026. And they're going to try to back-to-back it in 2027. And a win this weekend could help because 5-star edge Zyron Forstall's on campus. The #5 corner, DeVay Williams, is on campus. A bunch of big names are in LA this weekend, Steve. Who is intriguing to you?
Well, it starts with Forstall. USC's been one of his favorites the entire process, led by Coach Henderson, a Louisiana native. Forstall, a Louisiana native. USC, LSU have been the top 2 for much of his process. A&M's now in there, Miami, some of the other programs. But when you look at the way USC's recruited in 2026, the way they went out and landed Jakeem Stewart at the end of 2025, you don't bet against the Trojans, against anybody, the infrastructure, the resources they have. This is a big opportunity to get a huge win against a top 25 team that's playing well and show that, hey, USC's not far off from competing for a Big Ten championship as well. DeVay Williams, I already have predicted the USC, like where they stand all those DBs, Jalen Hill, Danny Lang, Aaron Washington, they're going to have a really good shot to land all those guys. Honor Olave Johnson's been trending Oregon early in his process, but USC giving him a lot of intrigue as well at this stage. It says there are no commits for USC in 2027. I think they're being patient. I think they'll ultimately decide who they want to pour into. Zyron Forstall is certainly someone that they're going to pour into, and I could see him in the Trojans class, particularly if USC can find a way to win games like tonight against Michigan.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be a fun game tonight. Hasn't started yet, or it's just kicking off. But you guys, USC fans, talk to Steve and I. How you guys feeling about recruiting? How you feeling about the 2026 commit class, number 1 in America? Who's your favorite player committed to USC right now? Let us know. Comment section below. All right, let's head to Texas, because Steve, we got to talk about the top 10 Texas Tech Red Raiders taking on Kansas right now. We're a little bit into this one, and guess what, Steve? 15-0 Texas Tech up early on Kansas. Still the first quarter here. Big names on campus, though. Another big recruiting weekend for Joey McGuire and the Red Raiders.
Yeah, and they're trending going into the visit for Avante Dickerson, a defensive lineman from in-state with some NFL ties. Avante Nickerson, excuse me, I'm struggling here right now for Texas Tech. George Toya, the number 2 defensive lineman in the country, is someone that I think the Red Raiders have a really good shot at. Daniel McMorris, 2026 offensive tackle from Norman, Oklahoma, is offered. Cal's in there. But don't count out the Red Raiders. They got a bunch of their commits on campus. Jalen Brewster, Keadrian Redmond from the number 1 ranked 2027 class. A lot of these guys from 2026 are in town as well.
For Felix Ojo, the 5-star offensive tackle out of the state of Texas, he was expected to be there for this one too. That's a big one.
Yeah, but the big news, Amari Vickerson, top 50 defensive lineman, one of Texas Tech's most coveted recruits in this class, visiting this weekend. And I think the Red Raiders are trending for Amari Vickerson. I have a prediction in favor and think that he could be the next one in the fold in 2027 as they build towards the number 1 class in the country. And they'll try and make a move with Big George Toya with him in Lubbock.
All right, yeah, and with Jalen Brewster on board, with LaDamian Guyton on board, that's 2 5-stars, number 1 players at their position. Steve, could there be more number 1 players at their position still out there for Texas Tech to add to this 2027 commit list?
Well, obviously it starts with Kavian Bryant, number 1 ranked quarterback in the country per Rival, is going to make his college decision early next month. My prediction and Sam Spiegelman's prediction is on Texas Tech, Colorado, Florida State, some of the programs trying to change that. But I think with the way that this college football season is going, the opportunity to come in and take the keys from a Bayron Morton to a Will Hammond to a Kavian Bryant, when you know they're going to put a lot of talent around you with the support and infrastructure that Texas Tech and Joey McGuire have right now, the culture, the program. This is a football program that obviously has a ton of backing right now, but on the field, they're playing at a high level, and that's a salute to the coaching staff. They're playing for each other. The ties that Coach McGuire and his staff have in state, Joey Blanchard, Coach Nance, the guys on the field coaching for Texas Tech. High school players in the Lone Star State feel at home. Their coaches, their families feel at home. And Joey McGuire was able to rally the support around this program, and you're seeing the results on the field. They're competing for a Big 12 championship, which puts you in the college football playoff. And then, as Felix Ojo recently said, you think this will be one of their least talented teams with the way they're recruiting. Crazy. Top 25 class right now, number 1 class in 2027. We know they're going to be major players in the transfer portal after the season. So Texas Tech, this Kansas team's really good. They've jumped on them early.
Yeah.
Shows you the level that the Red Raiders are playing at right now. They're in full stride right now, halfway through the season.
Yeah, they are definitely waking some people up. Steve, did you hit on the new prediction? I know you talked about Kavian Bryant's prediction, but I saw you made a couple others. Did you hit on those?
Yeah, we talked about Amari Vickerson in Texas Tech. So feel good.
All right, good. Texas Tech fans, talk to us. How you guys feeling just about the season in general and this 2027 class? I mean, it is – It's loaded, and there's more to come. Talk to me and Steve about it in the comments section below. All right, Steve, let's talk about – do you want to talk about the recruiting implications of FSU's third loss, of Penn State's third loss? I mean, we got some coaches on the hot seat here.
I didn't see Penn State coming. I thought they'd bounce back and beat UCLA and push towards the college football playoff. Drew Aller out for the season. We'll see how strong a culture and foundation James Franklin and his football coaches have with this team. Can they rally and cobble together some wins? And this season,
it's going to get tougher without your senior quarterback, you know?
And
it's not going to get any easier.
And no one's going to feel sorry for them. And then Florida State, just tough loss to Pitt at home. I think most expected them to get a win against a good Pitt team. But the way they started the season, beating Alabama to come back, and really they played hard against the Miami team ranked in the top 5, but to then show up today and lose to Pitt shows that they still got work to do to get that championship DNA back in place. A team that, for 3 years of the Mike Norvell era, were competing for ACC titles and spotting the college football playoff, to now trying to get bowl eligible. All of a sudden, will they be in the postseason this year? So how will Florida State bounce back? How will Penn State bounce back? If you're a great head coach, it's really about your culture. And we've never had an issue with James Franklin and his culture before. Penn State's always been a hard-nosed team that's really been dominant defensively, making plays behind the line of scrimmage, to losing to Northwestern. It's about UCLA, Northwestern. The UCLA one, I almost gave them a pass, losing the whiteout, then having to fly cross country and play a game that everyone thought that they would win, and they lost, and upsets like that happen. But then to come back home and lose to Northwestern, that one's very hard to stomach, and as bad a loss as I can remember.
Yeah.
It's even worse loss than last week to UCLA, in my opinion. And then Florida State again, can they find some footing? Will they play hard like this Billy Napier Gators team is? Or will he lose his guy? Florida State quit last year.
Well, I think the difference between the Billy Napier teams and the Mike Norvell teams are the Billy Napier teams have a lot of 5-star talent there.
Sure.
But Mike Norvell has lost a lot of 5-star talent to those in-state rivals. And,
Florida State quit last year, though.
What's that?
They quit as a team.
Oh, yeah. But, I think it's when you look at James Franklin and you look at Mike Norvell, they're kind of in similar situations with the contracts. I don't have the exact buyout numbers right now, but both coaches were given recent extensions. Both coaches are owed a lot of money. And, if you're James Franklin and you're Penn State, it's a little harder to make a move. But if you're Florida State, you've had 6 years of Mike Norvell where he's 20-23 in conference play. Steve, the Noles in the last 10 ACC games are 1-9 in their last 10 ACC games. Steve, in the first 110 ACC games, FSU went 110-9.
Josh, you know as well as anybody the history and logistics of Florida State football. Can they make a coaching change if another season warrants it? Do they have the financial aptitude to do it?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest question. I mean, obviously the recruiting implications will come. You're in a situation like this with a Mike Norvell. I don't think recruiting is really going to impact the ultimate decision here. I think the dollars and cents have to be right. You got to have somebody stepping up and saying they want to do that. But after 6 years, I think, Mike Norvell made 2 changes last year at the coordinator position. Meanwhile, the defense has given up over 1,200 yards in its last 3 games, with Tony White coming over from Nebraska. It's kind of telling when Nebraska's best players on defense that hit the portal didn't necessarily follow Tony White to Florida State, so he was kind of dealing with the remnants of whatever they had recruited previously. So we'll see what happens here, but I don't think it's going to get any easier for either of these teams.
Recruits gave Florida State a pass last year when the season ended because of the 3 seasons prior, but 2 losing seasons in a row, there'll be no passes. They have a top 15 recruiting class right now. They better find some wins real quick, or this thing's going to unravel very, very quickly.
Yeah, and, Mike just hasn't been able to recruit the talent that other coaches at Florida State have, and it's shown, especially in these rivalry games, especially against Miami. we'll see what happens in a couple weeks when I think Florida, they go to Gainesville because Miami was in Tallahassee. So a couple tough games still ahead for the Seminoles, couple tough games ahead for Penn State, who entered the season number 2 in America. A lot of people had Penn State as their eventual national championship winner. Drew Aller was returning. Now they're going to be probably unranked, and they're not going to have their quarterback the rest of the year. So it doesn't get any easier for either team. Sorry to end the show on a low note here, but you guys talk to us. If you're a Penn State fan, if you're a Florida State fan, what is the next move for either program moving forward? It seems like a dark day for both programs today, losing to Pitt at home and Penn State losing to Northwestern at home. You guys talk to us, comment section below. All right, that's it for Recruit Reaction Week 7. It was another fun week, Steve. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, make sure you guys smash that subscribe button. We're going to be going live more often. We're going to be having commitments. And then on Sunday, we have the Inside Scoop tomorrow. We're going to have a bunch of team writers on talking about these games. And then, Steve, we will get to you on Monday with another big edition. I can tell. We're going to be talking a lot of recruiting on Monday on the Wiltfong Whip Around. See you guys.